Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's your friend Vincent Brown coming at you all the way from a place called Durham, North Carolina. Sharks in the water. Those of you all who know anything about me know this, that I am not a race man. I'm not pro-black. And I handed in my black card decades ago. At least by the 1990s. I'd already handed in my black card. I've never really been a pro-black person, although growing up, I used to see the videos, the footage of things going on in the civil rights era, and things like that. They did something to me. They still do to this day, because you wonder how it is that people can get it in their minds to discriminate against somebody because of the color of their skin. And I became a born-again Christian in 1986. I was 18 years old, and what little hatred I had of white people, it went away on October 21st, 1986. That's the day I got born again. And being a born-again Christian has taught me that you need to stick with the truth, no matter who it hurts and no matter which side you are on. I mean, that's just par for the course if you're going to call yourself a Christian. And over the years, I've clashed with people who are pro-black, the Nation of Islam, I think I've met with some elements of the Black Hebrew Israelites, things like that. And over the years, I've been accused of trying to be white, which is a major gaslighting point, when someone like me gets up and says what he does. I have no loyalty to any race. I'm not trying to be white, whatever that means. I mean, can someone tell me, how does one try to be white? I mean, what is being white? People tell me I'm trying to find favor with the white man and all that, and that I'm trying to, yes sir, master, yes sir, white man, yes sir. But really, it's the other side that's doing that. But I don't aim to be loyal to my race. I aim to be loyal to the truth. And there are a lot of hard truths going out here that black people need to bring themselves to face up to. Here recently, over the Memorial Day weekend, some people wanted to remember George Floyd. George Floyd supposedly was killed by Derek Chauvin, supposedly, and we all bought into it. I bought into it too, that Derek Chauvin, I didn't think the killing of George Floyd was racist, but I was like, what are you doing? You got your knee on his neck and everything. But then when you stop and look at all the evidence, you realize George Floyd was not murdered. His knee wasn't on, Derek Chauvin's knee was not on George Floyd's neck. And George Floyd was much bigger than Derek Chauvin. I think I saw one report where George Floyd was 83 pounds heavier than Derek Chauvin. Now, when you look at that, you're like, wait a minute, George Floyd, he could have easily overpowered this dude. You're not going to tell me that this dude, who is significantly smaller than George Floyd, could have just held George Floyd down with a knee on his neck. All kinds of things just blows holes into this situation. But a lot of us in the black community, we have elevated George Floyd to a level of sainthood. George Floyd has become the patron saint of mainstream liberal black America. He has become the savior, so-called, so to speak, of exploited black folks. And when you bring this stuff out, people are so attached to the narrative that they've been shown that even when you show evidence to the contrary, they still want to hold on to what they believed initially. And they'll even convince themselves that, oh, we got all the evidence, we seen whatever, yada, yada, yada. But when someone points out the holes in their rhetoric, they still want to hold on. It's called cognitive dissonance. And I tell people, check out the documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. Now, before I saw The Fall of Minneapolis, I was like, okay, Derek Chauvin shouldn't have done this. I don't think Derek Chauvin murdered him. I just think Derek Chauvin probably made a mistake, something that he should have known better. I didn't think he deserved jail, though. But when I saw the evidence on The Fall of Minneapolis, I was like, oh, no. Derek Chauvin is not guilty. And some people have even challenged me on that. What do you mean he ain't guilty? See, you're responding with your emotion. You're not responding to evidence. I saw where they showed the training documents for people in Minneapolis, for the cops in Minneapolis, where it said that when you have a suspect or he's requesting an ambulance or something like that, you're supposed to hold him down until the ambulance comes. That's what Derek Chauvin did. He was doing his job. George Floyd, when they were trying to arrest him or whatever, he was combative. He was resisting, and he was saying, "Oh, I don't want to get shot like I did." I think he was saying something like they were threatening to shoot him a year ago when he got pulled over. Oh, I don't want to get. So they showed the footage of George Floyd from a year before his death, him getting pulled over by the police. And the police didn't shoot him. They didn't pull out their guns on him. They didn't threaten to shoot him. But once again, people, they want to ignore the narrative. I guarantee you a lot of people will not watch The Fall of Minneapolis because they're afraid that the truth is going to damage their precious little narrative. And I will say this, I will continue to say it. George Floyd was not murdered. He had a fatal amount of fentanyl in his system. Folks, the autopsy results are there, are online for you to see. And the autopsy results said there was no damage to his windpipe to suggest that he was strangled to death. But folks still want to believe what they want to believe. And that's why they'll ignore all the evidence. You tell them watch the fall of Minneapolis. They're not going to do it. They're not going to watch. They're not going to look at the autopsy results because they want to continue to believe their low precious little narratives. And when I say things like I say, I'm not trying to, I want to be on the white man's side. Man, I've been hearing that for so many years, like I said, decades. I'm not trying to cape for the white man. I'm trying to cape for the truth. That's all I'm trying to cape for. And if that truth goes against the rhetoric of my so-called black brothers and sisters, well then I'm going to cling to the truth. You can say what you want to say about me. It's not going to intimidate me. It's not going to get me to back down. But the thing that bothers me the most in all of this are people who call themselves Bible-believing, born-again Christians, and they still believe this garbage. They won't even look at the evidence themselves. The Bible talks about seeking out a matter. A lot of us who call ourselves Christians, we ain't gonna do that. We're just gonna follow along the line of what the mainstream news media tells us. We're not gonna perform our due diligence and seek these things out. We have our own preachers like Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, and all the rest of them telling us that the music is playing, so we need you all to dance right now. And, like I said, I've been accused of, you trying to be white and all that and everything. That's fine, because whenever you deal with the truth, you're going to have people who hate you for it. And I really don't take it personal, because Jesus said, if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. Meaning that the world is going to hate you because of me. Talking about Jesus. And Jesus was about the truth. So if you hate the truth, you hate Jesus. You love the truth, you love Jesus. But I look at the climate of today, and, people say, oh, this country is just as racist as it was. It's worse. Sunny Hostin gets on the show and says that her daughter has less civil rights than she did. And I'm sitting here like, what is she talking about? Sunny Hostin was born the same year I was, 1968. She was born the same year I was. She might be a few months older than I am, but she was born that same year. I never went to an establishment and they said, "Oh, you colored people, you go over there." I never seen the separated bathrooms or the separated water fountains. I've never been told when I go to a hotel, nah, you colored, you go somewhere else. I've had a couple of white people call me the N-word, yeah. But a couple of white people calling me the N-word is not a sum of the whole. What do I mean when I say that? It doesn't mean that because a couple of white people call me the N-word, then all white people hate black people. I don't believe that. I never did. I grew up around white people. Some of them became very good friends of mine. I got a couple of them that I grew up with were friends on Facebook. Still good friends. And I don't look at a person's skin color. Now, when I say I don't look at a person's skin color, it doesn't mean I'm colorblind or, I don't see color. I see it, but I don't look at it. I don't concentrate on it. I don't keep that skin color in mind. I got to be careful with him because he's white. I've been done dirty by more black people, way more black people, than I have been by white folks. You can call me delusional and everything like that. You have not experienced my life. And I know what I'm talking about. So there's that. I've been done dirty by folks I call friends, family members, and of course enemies. Every now and then I bring up this situation. Back in 1984, I was trying to get a job at a restaurant. And in my time at school, there were a couple of people that stand out to me who did not like me. I didn't do anything to them or anything. They just didn't like me. Okay, well, that's fine. Back then I didn't like it, but I look at it now and I say, yeah, that was stupid. But this particular person did not like me. He was probably in the top 3 of my haters. Why he didn't like me, I don't know. I never did anything to him. But went to this restaurant. I didn't know he worked at this restaurant because if I knew he worked there, I would have been like, nah, I ain't working here. But I went to this restaurant, put in an application and whatever. And I didn't know this guy worked there, but he happened to see me when I was leaving. And the next day at school, he was like, y'all, look at this. This N-word, this was a black guy. This N-word come up in here talking about he gonna get a job at this restaurant. Black guy, not a white guy, a black guy. And I said, so you're going to prevent me from getting a job because you don't like me? He said, yeah, I don't want to work with your goofy butt. I was called goofy because of the sound of my voice, and I like to laugh a lot when I was a kid. But he said, yeah, I don't want to work with your goofy butt. Now, the word I sanitized it, you can understand what word he used in place of butt. This was a black guy. So I basically in order for me to get a job, I had to get away from where people knew me and whatever. So, the time I did that, I got a job. And, it was easier to get a job because nobody knew me. I've had black people bully me when I was a kid, talk about my nappy hair, which my hair is nappy. Talking about, do you have a comb? Do you own a comb? Do you own a pick? Talked about how I walked. Talked about how I talked. Talked about me laughing so much and everything. These were black people. I had a smattering of white people in there too, but it was mostly I'd say 95% of the time, it was other black people. Caused me trouble. And don't let me talk about family at home. Don't even get me there. You know, my own brother, who was slightly light-skinned than I was, he used to talk about how dark I was. And folks, let me just say this. I used to do the same thing to people who were darker than I was. And that's something I'm very ashamed of to this day. But I didn't know any better back then. But when you cross that path of maturity, you're like, hey, you know, that was wrong for me to do that. But anyway, I've been done wrong way more by my fellow black people than I have by white people. Now you might sit there, oh well, you're just delusional and you know you're letting these things affect you and everything, but you got to understand the white man is our enemy. The white man's not our enemy. He's not our enemy. I don't see him as the enemy. But we keep following this narrative that, oh, they want to put us back in chains. You know, the recent redistricting, you know, that went on. You know, people, oh, they're trying to weaken our power to vote. They're going to take away our voting rights. They ain't taking away your voting rights. All they're trying to do is make the elections more fair. They're trying to balance the votes. They're not trying to weaken your voting power. Your voting rights are not going to be taken away. I mean, they're trying to take away our voting. How are they taking away your voting rights? How are they doing it? I guarantee you in the next election, if you're able, you'll be right there in that voting booth and you'll vote as easily as you have before. No one's going to look at you and say, no, you black people, no, we're not. I've never had a hard time voting. Never. In my adult life, I have never had a hard time voting. The hardest time I think I've had voting was standing in line to vote. And that's only happened a couple of times. Most of the time, I go in to vote, I'm in and out within 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most. Never had a hard time. Go in there, what's your name? Here's my ID. You know that thing that we black people can't seem to get, you know. The Democrats keep telling us, oh, it's hard for you to get ID. They keep bringing up the poll taxes. I ain't never had to pay to vote. I may have had to pay to register to vote, which everybody has to do that, not just black people. But I've never had to pay to vote. Go in and vote and boom, I'm done with my life. See, we keep throwing these things out here. I don't know why my eyes are tearing. It might be my allergies. But we keep going out here and we keep creating these phantoms of racism. Oh, they want to take away our rights to vote. They want to take away our voting power. They want to put us back in chains. They want to go back to the separate but equal. But you look at yourselves and you support that same type of thing. You want black only areas. You want segregation in the school. Oh, we don't want our kids to be taught by white teachers. We think black teachers will be a better representation for our kids. You go to the movies. This character was originally a black person, but y'all want to whitewash this character. But then again, you all have nothing to say when a character who is usually white is now presented as a black person. See what I'm talking about here? Recently, I don't watch Kevin Hart or anything like that. I think he's a funny guy, but You know, I can't get above all the cussing and everything. That's just me. But he had a roast or something, and people said someone during that roast made a joke about St. Floyd, George Floyd. People didn't like it. People were calling for Kevin Hart's head. But in that same roast, they made jokes about Charlie Kirk, crickets. That was insensitive, what was said about George Floyd. Well, if that was insensitive, then the jokes they made about Charlie Kirk were insensitive too. But see, this is nothing more than melanated idol worship. That's all it is. This right here has become our God. My skin color. And you got to be the right skin color, because if you have the skin color, but you don't have the politics, then you're really not black. Thank you, Joe Biden, for telling me that I'm not black. And before I go, I made a comment about racism on my Facebook page, and someone came up on my Facebook page and said the word racist ends with IST. That means a system. And I told people that, you know, racism is racism. Racism is racism, but they say it's a system. And I said, well, what power do you need to wield in order to be a racist? Because they say you can only be racist if you have the power to do so. Okay, so what kind of power are you talking about? Well, we don't own systems. We don't. Okay, so why don't we own systems? It's not because a white man is holding us back. What we decided to do is we keep repeating the mantra, the white man is holding us back, the white man is holding us back. And what that has done is keep a lot of people from going out there and making something of themselves. This is why you got a lot of black people who don't want to work or anything like that, because the white man got all the jobs. I've worked since I was 16 years old. Had a lot of white bosses, had a lot of black bosses. Just go out there and look for a job. No one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. You go out there, you make yourself productive, and you get paid as a result. But nobody owes you anything. That's why I'm against, you know, people talking about, oh, we need to raise the minimum wage and all that. You need to go out there and make yourself productive. And if you experience what a lot of white people have gone through, they've had to do the same thing. They didn't just go to a job. They said, oh, white man, okay, come on in. Oh, black man, nah, I don't want you there. Because I can guarantee you there are a lot of white people that I probably make a lot more money than a lot of white people out there. And if people would be honest, you know, I see these people getting up talking about reparations and everything. But these very same people, they are living better than than 95% of white people in this country. But they want to talk about reparations. We need reparations. We need reparations. No, you need to get off your lazy butt and make yourself productive. There's your reparations. And whenever anyone brings that argument about reparations to me, I say my reparation is being an American citizen. That's my reparation. So, like I said before, I've tossed my black card aside. You want to come for it? It's around here floating in the wind somewhere. It might be lying in a garbage heap or something. You go there and take my black card, because I don't carry that. I'm not a card carrying black person. I am a saint of God. I'm a follower of Christ. That's the only card I need. And for me to shuck and jive and dance with black people just because just because we think alike and everything. That's not what I'm going to do. And you might get mad at me. You might look at me kind of funny and whatever. Like, you know, you can look at me all you want to, but look, I'm going to be me. I'm still an individual. I'm not part of a collective. I'm not part of the monolith. I have escaped the plantation. And I just want to live my life to the best of my ability as God wills. That's all. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I got to get ready to go to work. You all take care of yourselves out there. Stay safe. Stay healthy. This is Vincent E. Brown. I'm signing off. Until the next time, I'll see you on the rebound.